The Entrepreneur Journey Podcast, Episode 2. Hi, this is Rudy Banks, your host for the Entrepreneur Journey Podcast. Today's episode, we're going to talk about fear. Have you ever had a major life decision? You ever been chased by an animal? Scared of a mouse? You ever been on a roller coaster for the first time? Or have you quit or been fired from a job? What emotions or feelings come to mind? Would it be fear, doubt, uncertainty, anger, anxiety, or all of the above? Believe me, I've been there. I remember getting on my first roller coaster. They strap you in, they make you wait and wait and wait as you go on this high incline. I just remember the clink and the clink and the chink and the feelings start going through your mind. And is this thing gonna stay on the tracks, and how fast is it gonna go? Meanwhile, some people are giddy and with anxiety and excited, where others are just kind of like hush and mum and waiting to see what happens next. I remember getting to the top of that hill and then closing my eyes all the way to the bottom, and it felt like an eternity. But as I got through it, after the bumps and the curves and the neck jerking reactions and all that stuff, once I finally got to the end, I was like, man, it's not that bad. And then what do? You get back on again. I finally got my courage up to the point where I could get on a roller coaster and keep my eyes open. And then I realized that drop was only 2 to 3 seconds. And I rode it out, cheered, even got to the point where I put my arms up. And it was a progression. I remember going to college and leaving home for the first time. I lived in Maryland and I went to school in Virginia at Virginia Tech. It was probably 6 hours away. I was also, getting ready to study engineering, electrical engineering, and I joined the marching band. And the first semester, we actually started band camp a week in advance of when regular classes started. And I remember packing my dad's van up with all my belongings and driving off on my way. Yes, I didn't have my parents there to move me in. I was very independent. So I remember getting to campus and I remember turning on a campus, and that feeling went over me like, oh wow, what am I getting myself into? And I could feel that fear, anxiety, and doubt starting to bubble up. But I gave myself a pep talk. I was like, well, you're your own man now. You got to step up and step into your destiny. And the rest was history. I remember getting a job promotion to leave Virginia after we had lived there, 15 years, to move to New York. Could you imagine comfortable living in an area where, your in-laws and your wife has lived there all their lives, and to uproot, your family and have to move away? That's a major decision. But we did it. And more recently, walking away from corporate America. Could you imagine 14 plus year career, making great income, 6-figure income, checks coming in every 2 weeks, benefits all covered, and then you decide that, hey, you want to step out and start your own business. Now, I will say, this was not a knee-jerk reaction. This was something I had been planting that seed over years and years and years. We'll talk about that in future podcasts. But when you finally get ready to make that decision, all those feelings and things start to bubble up. So how do you define fear? Most people say fear is false evidence appearing real, false experiences appearing real. I went on Google and just did a quick acronym search, and here are a few others that came up. Forget everything and relax. Future events appearing real. Failure expected and received. Okay. False emotions appearing real. Face everything and rejoice. Forget everything and remember. For everything a reason. So there's different concepts, but to me, fear is really something that's in your mind. You have a perceived problem. Time goes on, you continue to think about it, doubt builds up, and before you know it, that fear just grows into this chaotic ball of whatever. Have you ever been watching TV and then you hear some crazy sound and you're like looking around trying to figure out what it is, and your mind's trying to tell you all these different things it could be? Or you see some kind of shadow and you're like, what was that? And come find out it was just a coat on a coat rack. All those defense mechanisms and fear starts kicking in, and it can wreak havoc on you from anxiety, stress, and it's not healthy. So I want to leave you with a few concepts on facing fear. Number one is taking action. I'm a firm believer in taking action. There are a lot of times where you have fear over something or a major decision and you just let it go, and it just keeps eating at you. It keeps growing because you're not taking action. The sooner you take an action, the sooner that fear will be dispelled. It goes away. Number two, starving fear. Now, how in the world do you starve fear? Your body needs fuel. Your body needs water to survive. But how in the world do you starve fear? I like to think of time is to fear as water is to gremlins. I might be dating myself because if you haven't seen that movie, you probably need to go rent it. But essentially, the more water you kept putting on those gremlins, they kept multiplying and growing and growing and growing. Fear is the same way. The more time that passes, eventually the larger that fear is going to grow. That problem is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger in your mind. It may or may not be that bad, but it's growing bigger in your mind. So time is to fear as water is to gremlins. Number three is faith. You have to believe in you. You have to believe in your business. You have to believe in your idea, your concept. Whatever you're trying to accomplish, you got to believe that you can do it. That belief is going to overcome that fear. Imagine driving without your GPS and you're like, well, I know I'm going the right way, but there's this little voice in the back of your head telling me, no, I think you should have took that turn. But if you believe you're going the right way, whether you're going the right way or not, you're going to continue down that path. And that's what it's all about, the battle of the good and the evil. It's almost similar to this podcast. You know, I thought about doing a podcast years ago, but I never did it because I felt like I didn't have anything good enough to share, nothing worthy to share. But I'm here speaking to you now. You're here listening. So that's just a testament of, number one, taking action, overcoming that fear. So if I had to recap, what's rule number one? Take action. What's rule number two? Starve your fear. And what's rule number three? I'm waiting. Having faith. That's right. In my business right now, there are many unknowns, but I am faithful, and I know if I keep taking action, things will begin to happen. I'm a firm believer. Grant Cardone says, take massive action. So if you haven't read the 10X rule, I would highly recommend you read that book. It's all about taking massive action. Or read Brian Tracy, Eat That Frog. And open up the Bible, read Proverbs. So next time you face fear, make a decision and take action. That's all I have for today. Hope you enjoyed this message. Please give me feedback and send in your questions. I would love to hear from you. Positive reviews are welcome. See you in the next episode, and see you at the top. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.